Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Gus.
Hey, have you ever watched a dumpster fire happen like in real time?
Yeah,
Yes,
I used to live in a real shady apartment. People would light the dumpster on fire every weekend. Seriously, that's a true story.
I was thinking digitally, but that works too. Okay, digitally, it happened outside of Gus's apartment over the weekend when one of gaming's biggest and most influential forums basically melted down in a matter of hours after sexual assault allegations were issued against the owner.
It might be too early to call it yet, but so far it looks like it might be time to say rest in peace, NeoGAF. The site's been down for most of the weekend and saw a mass exodus of both users, admins, and mods, with loads of the site's most important members organizing a replacement.
So, video game outlets will have to lift their stories from somewhere else. I mean us.
Well, before we get into how this whole meltdown started, a bit of background on what NeoGAF is. The site's been around since the mid-2000s and became a huge resource for people in and out of the video game industry, with a number of developers and insiders using it anonymously to post and collect info about new releases.
And like any place, it's had its number of controversies, some of them kind of sordid, yes, but more on that in a second, as well as a couple of real rotten apples, which have, of course, made it a lightning rod around a few issues in the past, sometimes between developers, sometimes within the site itself.
And this new controversy was apparently a bit too much for the forum to bear. Everything started unraveling after a Facebook post last week made by film director Emma Liep, adding a story of hers to the Me Too movement of women speaking out about sexual assault and sexual harassment. In her post, she accused NeoGAF owner Tyler Evilor Malka of sexual misconduct during the trip the two took to New Orleans in 2015.
Yeah, in a follow-up phone conversation with Kotaku, Liep said that before the incident, I had no reason not to trust him. He had been introducing me to people and helping me network for my film company. I feel gross from ever having been in contact with this person.
We're not going to get into the particulars of what went down and who believes whom, no matter the case. Once the story hit NeoGAF, things quickly fell apart. Moderators started locking and deleting the multiple threads that popped up about it, despite users urging them not to, because, come on, that just makes things look way worse.
Well, soon after that all started, an anonymous user, Modbot, posted that there's a statement coming, please refrain from making more threads on this issue in the meantime. And yeah, we're still waiting on that statement.
It got lost in the mail. Needless to say, Modbot's statement pending post didn't do much good, because soon the entire forum filled up to the brim with dozens of threads. Lots of users started suicide posting, which is basically when you dare the admins to ban you. A big example of this came from user James Scott, who said he'd been a member of NeoGAF for 3 years, but he's leaving because with all these women coming out about sexual harassment, assault, it pains me to see people ignoring them to say that they're lying when it takes so much to come out with it.
Now, other users also started requesting bans, saying they were done with this site. I don't know why you need to be banned, maybe like stop you from coming back later, I suppose. Some bots which track and post new threads were full of posts with titles like, fuck this place, permaban me. Twitter user xbuds got a screenshot of NeoGAF just before it went offline, and the gaming discussion page was almost exclusively devoted to the drama, with some posters angry at Evilor, others wondering what the heck was going on.
Part of why this blew up so quickly is because this isn't the first time NeoGAF has been through the meat grinder with these kinds of issues.
Maybe meat grinder is not the right term to use, if you know what I'm saying.
They had this, not the first time they've been in the barrel, no?
Let's move on.
There was also a separate 2012 thread where NeoGAF owner Malka semi-bragged about and subsequently defended an incident that many other users interpreted as sexual harassment against a woman at a party. The whole deal ended quite similarly to this one, with loads of deleted threads and bans.
Although it still ended with NeoGAF existing. There was also recent trouble when one of the site's moderators was arrested for child pornography earlier this year, which is never good. Plus some concern about another moderator in the past who, according to users, had some troubling interactions about that same topic before they, eventually lost their moderating privileges.
All of those things have led to accusations from the site's critics that people in power there have known about this behavior and tolerated it for years. Whether that's the case or not, all the mods definitely left this time. By the end of the weekend, just about all of them left the site in protest before the whole thing flat out shut down and stopped working.
Now, we were actually able to get in touch with one of the former moderators who spoke with us anonymously, saying the whole thing has been really hard to watch. I was nowhere near as active as I had used to be, but the forums used to be part of my daily routine, and I met some great folks there.
He or she went on to say, I'm not sorry to see the mods step down. I think that was absolutely the right thing to do given the allegations against the owner. That's the most important thing. However, I am sad that so many good internet communities have suffered because of it. I hope they can all organize somewhere else.
Now, probably the most shocking thing about all this was watching honestly how quickly the whole thing unraveled. Now, as we said before, NeoGAF's been a fixture, love it or hate it, in gaming for the better part of a decade. A lot of stuff happens there, and weekend. There were some very dark stains on its reputation, as many saw themselves over the weekend, but there are a lot of gamers out there who felt that there was still some value to be had in this community.
As such, several former gaffers have been writing about what NeoGAF meant to them, even as the controversy was raging. One NeoGAF user, Banana Factory 87, tweeted, "Through NeoGAF, I made some great friends, I made some great online social circles, one of which I spent the better part of an entire summer just chatting for hours every night playing Rocket League and talking about life."
And some of those eulogies have come from the industry as well. 343's Frank O'Connor wrote, "NeoGAF is a great reminder of how fragile a conversation is. I hope it's not true, but for the alleged victims, not the alleged perpetrators. Lots of good people posted there, and apparently a couple of bad ones."
We also reached out to several former gaffers ourselves, and quite a few of them wrote back with what the site meant to them.
Twitter user XBuds wrote to us, "It's a shame the site closed down the way it did. NeoGAF was more than just one man and some temporary moderators. NeoGAF was like a hive mind, a living and breathing community that many people made part of their daily ritual. For me, first thing in the morning, I'll get my coffee, read the news, and browse NeoGAF before work. I'll miss that."
Another user, Dex3108, said, "I met many wonderful people and some of them helped me with some real life things. I was able to talk with developers and read their side of the stories. In short, it was a place that I never had in real life and where I felt like I was at home."
And RoboRaptor1 told us, "NeoGAF was, for me, what Google is for many others. The first thing I see when going on the internet. I spent 7 years on the site, 3 of them as a member, and to be honest, I don't regret it. If you were to tell me that the site got sold to IGN or someone else, I'd go back. But with Evilore as owner, I'll stay away."
And speaking of Evilore, we asked several of these users if they were aware of the allegations that had floated around about NeoGAF's owner previously. Based on a couple of responses we got, the answer was that people were sort of aware of those, but considering the source of them, there are some corners of the internet that really had an axe to grind with NeoGAF. They didn't pay them a whole lot of mind.
The former moderator we spoke to said about previous allegations, "I wasn't aware of any other specific allegations. No, if I had been shown something as serious as this, I definitely would have stepped down then as well, as would the others, I'm sure. I think everyone just sort of tolerated his generally oafish behavior, but nobody expected anything this serious. In this case, I think hindsight is 20/20.
For now, many of these users are reaching out to each other on Twitter, waiting for whatever comes next, and it looks like efforts to start a replacement site might already be happening. The folks at OpenCritic offered to help start one, but it looks like a lot of the former community members and moderators are moving to create a new forum called Reset Era that is apparently launching very soon.
Yeah. PC Games N quoted one admin of the new site who said, "We're laser focused right now on getting up and running on time, fingers crossed, but our goal is to provide a hub for people who love video games to connect over our favorite hobby. We're born from the community and hope to serve that community. We aim to be fair, transparent, and reasonable with our moderation. We want posters to feel comfortable without feeling oppressed."
Of course, this comes as there is a larger conversation around the issue of sexual harassment in the workplace after numerous allegations of sexual assault were made against Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein.
And then more and more that story reverberated not just through Hollywood, but in the gaming world as well, where a number of people have started sharing stories of being harassed. A former employee of Naughty Dog said he was fired after making a sexual harassment complaint. Meanwhile, the popular YouTube channel Screen Junkies recently fired its founder, Andy Senior, also due to assault allegations. And Screen Junkies hasn't posted a video in weeks, so it appears they too are in a little bit of a crisis mode at the moment.
So this isn't just happening in gaming. Given NeoGAF's influence, the story is already having some pretty big ramifications. We're sure that new gaming forums will pop up, but as of right now, where the NeoGAF community will end up is anybody's guess.
It's kind of, at the moment, a really big hole, a void in the gaming community. Curious to see what's going to end up happening. But what do you think of all the NeoGAF drama? Let us know in the comments.
And for all your gaming news, be sure to like this video, and if you're new around here, subscribe to the know. Actually found out about the story from Frank O'Connor's tweet.
Oh yeah?
Yep. So I saw it. I also saw his post, his mea culpa about Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
In and out of the video game industry with a number